On to the big story this evening, viewers, for the first time, the victims of Pakistan terror have dropped the veil on years of systematic rape and abuse by Islamist militants in the Kashmir Valley. At the United Nations Human Rights Council, Kashmiris Tasleema Akhter and also Shoaib Lone detailed how Pakistan-backed terror has wreaked havoc in the valley and destroyed thousands of lives. They highlighted how women have been the worst victims of Pak proxy nexus. The victims were subjected to rape and sexual assault by terrorists who forcefully barged into their homes to evade arrest. The victims also stated that the families of victims of cross-border terrorism continue to live under fear and threats. They called on the international community and the human rights institutions to join hands to conduct a fresh investigation into the heinous crime. Listen in.
वो हमारे साथ छेड़छाड़ करने लगे, हमारे साथ उन्होंने मतलब गलत करने लगे थे। मैं बहुत छोटी थी तब, हम उनको बोलते थे हमारे साथ ये मत करो, मतलब मुझे तब पता ही नहीं चला था कि मेरे साथ क्या हो रहा है। बहन छोटी थी, उसको भी छेड़छाड़ करते थे।
उसके बाद भी फिर लगभग 3-4 साल तक हमारे साथ होता ही रहा। तो उसके आगे मैं आपको क्या बयान करूं, मुझे रोना मुझे जब अपनी दुखी कहानी में सिर्फ याद आती है, मुझे रोना भी आता है बहुत ज़्यादा। बहुत सारे होते थे, बहुत सारे, याद भी नहीं है कितने लोग आते थे।
I want to take this opportunity to highlight the palette of women victims of conflict in Kashmir. I have witnessed many close members of mine brutally murdered in the hands of terrorists who claimed to have been fighting our war while killing our own at the same time. Ever since, I continue to face challenges that reflect patriarchal structures as well as general cultural of silence towards women victims. In the broader social and political sphere, we remain not only unacknowledged but also victimized for being women. For women like me, our existence itself becomes a social stigma since the deaths of our family members are subjected to conspiracy theories by the same perpetrators. In addition to this, we also become the primary targets of social policing since we have expected to adhere to strict codes even in the absence of male earning members of family.
Today, I would like to highlight the plethora of the victims of militancy in Kashmir. To begin with, my father was brutally murdered by militants. His only fault was that he entered active politics with the hope of contributing to constructive dialogue. Following his death, our lives has been beset by social and economical challenges. Like my family, the valley has witnessed thousands of innocent lives being lost at the hands of terrorism in these 3 decades. The victims include those killed on the suspicion of being informants, hostage, counterinsurgency operation, and mostly important, women who face multiple forms of exploitation. It is even more challenging for the woman victim to speak about exploitation and sexual abuse due to fear of social pressure and threats from terrorist groups. It is well known how militants continue to use residential places during search operations against the wishes of locals. There are numerous instances of involuntary labor by women, cooking, cleaning, sheltering militants, sexually violence and assault on women. To date, the families of victims of cross-border terrorism continue to live under fear and threat. I have a strong faith in the international community role to address these challenges and an increase in coverage of these incidents with the specific focus on women and reporting about perpetrators who gradually created an environment that would keep such activities in check.
Well, let's open this up. We have China NC spokesperson of the BJP with us this evening. Also with us is Mr. Ahmed Ayaz, who's a lawyer himself. But I want to begin by asking Wani Yasmin, who's an advocate the top court. Yasmin, you know, here are some of the voices, victims of Pakistan terror that we just played out. And Tasleema Akhter, you know, the human rights activist, a Kashmiri at herself, who's really experienced it on an individual note, says for women like herself, existence itself becomes social stigma. One can't even begin to imagine all that Kashmiri women have had to go through, that this kind of a statement, this kind of a, you know, first-hand experience comes to them without the blink of an eye.
Let me tell you one thing. First of all, Tasleema is not a social activist. She is a political person. She's a part of a PC. I think she has joined right now any other party. I don't know which party she has joined. The thing is, coming to the Kashmiri women, it's not the Kashmiri women, it's all over the country. Women are facing a lot of problems due to the patriarchal society. Now coming to the conflict problems, every women, not only the women, males also suffer and the children also suffer. Women in Kashmir suffer from the stress, depression, insomnia problems, in fact gynecologist problems, even women face miscarriages due to the conflict. Who is the responsible for the conflict? There are a lot of people who are responsible for the conflict, either for this or we must say in total, we must say it's a conflict. But if we will see, nobody has worked till date for the women, for the Kashmiri women, especially who reside in the conflict zone. Let us take an example. Mostly the women are dependent upon the male members. Nobody knows if the person will go to today. He will step out from the home, and the female doesn't know whether he will come back or not. So at most, the female is dependent upon the males economically. Here in Kashmir, it's an economic insecurity also. In patriarchal society, women face stigmatized.
No, but this goes beyond the problems that women are facing in a patriarchal setup normally. Shaina and see, what would you say? Because, you know, there are several reports also. Something? Yes, there are several reports that have also been made, formulated. A UN report which goes back to 2010, in fact, also spoke of how the rape victims of terrorists suffer ostracism, and there is a code of silence and fear that prevents people from reporting such abuse. Now that we're hearing these voices, what more can be done? Because something certainly must be. It's been years and years of this kind of torture.
Well, I think we must say that for the first time on the global fora, on the global platform, Pakistan has been exposed, and exposed to the point that you know that these terrorists have used the most filthy kind of abuse to women, being it raping them, silencing them, and not allowing them to speak. Now, my limited point is, keep politics aside. What do we want? We want safety, security of our women of India, which the Prime Minister has worked on relentlessly. And if women are allowed to speak, I think that is also a great one step in the right direction, because up until now she was scared to even speak up about the kind of atrocities that have happened. And please understand, terrorism has no religion, terrorism has no language, and terrorism has no justification. For all these terrorists who barged into homes of local Kashmiris, rape women, have created all kinds of atrocities, do understand that Pakistan is the culprit for hubbing this kind of terrorism, for keeping this kind of haven where terrorists can spring in and out. But don't forget, the Narendra Modi government is a very strong government. Gone are the days of being victimized and staying silent. Jab jawab dena hai, denge.
Okay, now the valley certainly has witnessed thousands of innocent lives being lost at the hands of terrorism the last 3 decades. We've seen the victims, you know, including those killed on the suspicion of being informants, hostage, counter-insurgency operation, and most importantly, the issue that we're talking about here, women who faced multiple forms of exploitation. I want to bring in Mr. Ahmed Ayaz, you know, because this is now being raised by these women themselves. These are not outsiders. They are people who have seen this upfront, perhaps experienced it themselves as well. But there is also also an ecosystem. Apart from what we're dealing with and how we need to really corner Pakistan, there is an ecosystem within which is hailing some of these terrorists, which is giving cover fire to these terrorists. They're sympathizing with these terrorists. That's also another problem that must be looked at and called out.
No, it's good, and we should welcome if some group has come or some individuals have come against the violations, rights violations done, and they are bringing it at certain forms. It's welcome. There's nothing wrong, and everybody has a right to do it. Well, in the process, that the Kashmir is a conflict zone, and in the process, many things have happened. Violations definitely have happened, and it's not only one particular community or a class, woman or a man. It is all. Everybody has suffered the violations. I remember there is a major case of mass raping in Kananposhpora. The ladies were raped during daylight. So that's the result of this conflict what has happened, and we know that 370 was abrogated and how the people were confined, and I connect it with this only. Why? Because had this been a normal situation, I don't think 370 would have been abrogated and people confined for days together without any communication.
This has been happening for decades, right? Since the past 3 decades. These are versions that have been put out by people who have seen the situation up close. Perhaps their family members have gone through it.
The opportunity that has been given to a state that was a victim
to abrogate
of only
370,
terror activities.
To abrogate 370, I was confined in my house.
The fact that a Kashmiri woman is able to speak up in itself is a step in the right direction.
I'll come back to you. I really want to hear from Mr. Ayaz on what he has to say about what happened before 370 was abrogated. How was the situation any different? There is a clear crackdown that is taking place on terrorism right now after Article 370 was abrogated. Business is coming. A lot of changes have been brought about. But what can you tell us about what was going on in the valley before that with regards to these kind of atrocities on women?
What I said is, we never deny that there have not been atrocities. Different people have different difficulties. We don't deny that. As I said, that there was a case of mass raping in the Kananposhpora also. There are a lot of things happened with different people. That's what I say. When 370 was abrogated, I was confined unnecessarily in my house without any communication, without any facility of going to the hospital. My children were confined in the house, not allowed to go to school. I am sure, had the conflict not been there, it was done in the process of the conflict. Had it been a normal situation, that situation would not have taken place, that I would not have been confined into my house.
Sir, but the situation, as per you, was abnormal when 370 was abrogated, but before that, how was it any normal? That's the question that I'm trying to ask you. Shana and C.
Can I just come in, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Look at the kind of terror activities prior to 370. Look at the kind of atrocities prior to 370. Look at the kind of job opportunities and assimilation post 370. Sir, these are not about personal inconvenience or experiences. This is about women who are able to even speak up. And in a scenario such as this, where you have terrorists who in the past have bombarded into homes and raped women and children, I don't think that we should really look at things with jaundiced eyes and so selectively. This is a government that is trying their best to make sure that every segment and section of society in Kashmir gets the opportunity to stay safe, secure, empowered. And in that direction, if you're going to narrate only personal experiences or kind of a situation where you have been inconvenienced, I think it's unfortunate.
Okay, I want Wani Yasmin to quickly come in as a woman. No, as someone who's hearing out these women who are narrating their ordeal, Miss Yasmin, does one need to now resort to a more sterner global approach, or is it just going to be spoken of and forgotten in no time? Because if we talk about domestically the challenges that we've been facing, many of them also say that successive governments have failed women in Kashmir.
See, it's not only women in Kashmir, it's women all over the India. Every woman wants a safety. The rapes are happening all over the India. It's not only the Kashmir particularly. if the current government is working on this, they should have to protect all over the women from India. It's not only the Kashmir. They have to protect everyone, and we should be free from the rapes. Why the rapes are happening? It should not be happen again and again. We women are not feeling safe anywhere. It's not even, we are not feeling safe in Delhi. We are not feeling safe in Mumbai. We are not feeling safe in Kashmir. We are not feeling safe in Kanyakumari. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari, we are not feeling safe anywhere in India.
All right.
I don't know why these rapes are...
No, you're talking about a larger problem, but
disorder.
if we go by data, if we go by statistics, there is a lot of atrocities that have been committed on women in Kashmir all through the last 3 decades.
Prior to 370, or for that matter, let's look at the comparison of the last 30-40 years and see where women are today and where we have reached. Yes, जैसे कि हिंदी में कहते हैं मंजिल कठिन है, हौसला बुलंद है. I think the fact that women have been able to even speak up is a step in the right direction.
All right, a quick rebuttal from Ms. Yasmin.
हमारा भारत मुक्त होगा इससे रेप से. At least I hope
the reactions that we put out, the reactions that we put out of women who have faced these atrocities by Pakistan terrorists. So we're talking about that angle because there is enough data, enough statistics that suggest that this has been an ongoing pattern for so many years altogether. Of course, rape and sexual assault at large is a concern across the country, but we're talking about Kashmir because there is a Pakistan-sponsored terror angle attached to it and something that has been ongoing for the last so many years.
Absolutely, and Pakistan has only one agenda, which is to destabilize India. Pakistan's only agenda is to destabilize India, and how do you do it? Be it attacking our youth or be it raping women. This is the easiest approach, which is to enter a home. And if you believe that this is going to be the future, no, this government is going to give a muhtod jawab wherever required.
Okay, all right. I'm going to have to leave it with you. Thank you, Shaina NC, Ahmad Ayaz and Yani Wasmin for staying on with us. The larger problem is it's not just women. Of course, women have gone through a lot more, but we've also seen how, for example, what Shoaib Lone pointed out, and he said that my father was brutally murdered by militants. His only fault was he entered into politics with the hope of contributing to constructive dialogue. And the only hope he has is that now greater international focus will come into play and something will really be done before it's too late, because it's been an ongoing concern that has been put out way too many times. I'm going to have to leave it at that with you. Thank you for joining us here on Times Now.